Good morning, everybody. Welcome to MarketStream.live. It is May 4th, 2017. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock. I want to give you all the action that happened overnight. Now, with that being said, we did have one major index in the Asian markets that was closed. That was Japan. Japan was closed for Greenery Day. I have no idea what that is, but it was closed. So there's no action in Japan as far as the equity markets, but we do see that not only is Japan moving to the upside, as we had noted, we wanted to see that challenge of the 20 and 50-day moving average. Well, that's happened. The bulls have taken the market by the seat of their pants and moving it to the upside. Now, what's interesting here is that the biggest catalyst was the Japanese yen market. The yen really started to weaken. That was a huge catalyst, and we can continue to see it as we are looking at the chart right now. We continue to see it trading on its lows. FXY is an ETF that you can utilize to monitor how the Japanese yen is trading when you don't have access to the currency markets. But this is important. When they have a weak currency, that means that their goods and services are going to be more attractive to currencies that are trading at a higher level than what the current yen is. And that's like, for example, the US dollar. So that's why I always mention the US dollar Japanese yen pair. Now, earlier last week, we saw it, actually 2 weeks ago, we saw it trading at that 109, 110 level where we saw the dollar strength was incredible. Now, the dollar has pulled off. The yen has firmed up, but still that yen weakness is in the market. Dollar strength still dominates at this juncture. But that has been a catalyst for the markets. Let's see overnight tonight if that continues. Now, taking a look at China. The Shanghai Composite, it finished up 0.25%. That's good for about $7.90 at 3,127.36 cents for the Shanghai Composite. The real story here is that we saw the Caxian Services PMI come in. That's that Purchasing Managers Index. Now, that came in at 51.1. It previously last month came in at 52.2. Now, anything over 50 means that you have potential growth. That's why we watch the PMIs, both here in China, Japan, just globally here in the United States. The one thing you want to see is that number over 50. That means that you have the potential for economic growth. And you probably should wonder, well, what the heck is the PMI? Yeah, I get that this is the Purchasing Managers Index. But what are we looking at? What is it comprised of? Well, it basically is comprised of any new orders, inventory levels for these companies that report production, as well as the supplier deliveries and employment. It has all those components in there that basically that's where you're coming up with that number. A number above 50, strong, great opportunity for growth in the economy. When it gets south of 50, in the 40s and lower, that's contraction, economic development slow. So that's why we watch these numbers. That's why we look for that. That actually put a little pressure on the market in China, but we did see also some action in Hong Kong that was outside of not only the lower than expected PMI month over month, but in the Hang Seng down basically nominally flat. But what was interesting here is that we saw some earnings come out. The gaming name Galaxy Sands came out. They announced earnings. They were down 1.7%. We had a mixed bag coming out of the gaming sector here in the States from the casinos. They were performing quite well. We saw that Macau was performing quite well on, in the Hong Kong area. So gaming names might get some pressure here now that we're seeing the reaction to Galaxy Sands numbers. Also, you saw that the banks were under pressure in the Chinese and Hong Kongese markets. Finally, taking a look at India. Now, the Sensex, yes, it's challenged its 20-day moving average for the first time in 2017. That is notable. That was a few weeks ago, but it bounced off. And that's that battleground that I always talk about, that area between the 20 and 50-day moving average. If you've seen either a stock or index that's been in a bullish trend, and how do you determine that? If it's above its 50-day moving average, that means that it has institutional support. its trend is strong and it has some pretty big money behind it. If you start to see that it dips below that, that could be an indication that some weakness is coming into play. A challenge of the 20-day just means that those short-term traders, they're not as aggressive or bullish as they normally were. But if they re-challenge and get above there, that means the short-term and intermediate-term traders, they're on board with the current trend, and that's up. India, what's interesting here is they started to announce, and one of the larger banks, ICICI, reported, and the bank was up 9.2% based on their earnings. That also was a catalyst for other Indian banks. We're going to watch these earnings globally very closely, especially in the financial area, because we've had a lot of currency movement. And we do have a lot of geopolitical events going on. We still have the North Korean situation amassing in Asia. We also have the French elections. We're going to have an outcome after this weekend. So that could actually put a lot Asia on notice, especially if the right-wing candidate Le Pen somehow, some way gets some momentum. That could really put some ripples in the Asian economy, because the uncertainty of whether or not, first of all, they will have a unified currency, the euro, and will France do a Frexit? Who knows? Right now, that doesn't look very likely that she's going to win, but we've seen how those polls work. Speaking of Europe, we will be back online at 8:45 Eastern, 7:45 Central. I'm going to be talking about everything that's going on so far in the European markets. They've been open for a couple hours. Let's take a look at them. We'll see you then.